Okay, here's the quad. I've taken apart the shell, flight controller, servo connections look good on both sides. They're all tight. Everything looks to be plugged in pretty good. The battery connections, power board, of course, are good and tight. LEDs are good. The only thing when I opened up the quad, this was one of the lamp lights. I think I got hung up in a screw when I was taking that out. But what I'm going to try to do here is plug the battery in, and I want you to listen and look to the sounds. I'm not getting the normal boot up sounds. I'm getting some sounds, but okay, we just got that. Couple of short beeps. LEDs under the legs are on. LED up here is not. And then the flight controller light never blinked. The green light never blinked, so I'm going to cycle it off here. And then we'll see if we can plug it again. Listen to the sound it makes. Okay. We don't get the full series of musical notes, and we don't get a green light on the flight controller. So that's the deal. I'll show you one other thing here is the connections I made. This is the controller off of the gimbal, and I don't know if you can see this. These are the modifications. This wire I patch into the umbilical that comes out of the belly of the quadcopter. So we can see the connections I've made here, the red, white, and black. This was going in the third slot, the first slot, and then the black wire is going in the second slot, the second pin. So that's the deal. So the quad booted up normally. Initialize, we got the series of musical tones, the LED, I've got that off now, but the LED would go through its red-green cycles. I'd make the flight controller make the musical sounds, and all that was fine. I never bound the copter to the transmitter. I just plugged the battery in and let it set for a minute and watched the red and green lights on the external LED. But when I did these gimbal mods and did this wiring and plugged this into the umbilical coming out of the belly, it seemed like the gimbal was working fine. Of course, I couldn't do the pitch because I hadn't bound the transmitter to the quad, but this pattern of connections actually eliminated the shaking that I had in the gimbal when I first plugged the power in. And but after I did that, I ran into this problem with what I believe is the flight controller is not initializing. I tried doing the startup, with the gimbal, the connections, the power to the gimbal all plugged in, and I've tried it without. Of course, right now the demonstration I just did was without the power because I've got the thing disassembled. But that's the problem I'm having.